Should we begin?
Yes.
Okay. What the hell is that?
It's where you've been living this whole time.
You're telling me that Germany isn't where we think it is?
Nothing's where you think it is.
Where is it?
I'm glad you asked.
It was very difficult to explain spiritual reality in the past because there wasn't much to refer it to in the physical world. We had to make up mythology and stories. Why did thunder fall down? You know, oh, it's Zeus, right? As time grew and we learned more about our world and more about how our world works, now we have more things to compare it to. Now we can tell the story better. Now we can articulate it better. Now we're in a time where the truth can actually come out the way that it is. Now it can be described. Because before enlightenment and nirvana, those were empty terms. They were just words. They didn't mean anything. But now we're having more of a reference. I couldn't just explain to you how the hardware and the software of the human works without talking about computer programs. Now, likewise, when we talk about an occultist is akin to a software developer, right? You've got a front-end developer, which deals with how the website looks and how the software looks, which you actually interact with, right? Then you've got a back-end developer who works with the coding, the ones and the zeros, the shit you don't see. Then there's a full-stack developer who works with both. A full-stack developer can work with the code and also check how the user interface works. So as an occultist, you are a full-stack developer of consciousness. We study the subconscious mind, which is the back end, and then we study how it affects the physical reality, which is the front end, the five senses, the conscious mind. That's the front end of this operating system. The back end is the subconscious mind. So I'm teaching you how to reprogram that for your benefit. But anyways, what I'm saying is now we have terms to compare this thing to. That's what the DNA upgrade is. Now that we can actually understand and assimilate all these different principles, practices, and ideas, now they can actually take part in changing our consciousness because now we understand what it all means.
These are pictures of equations. I've been, for the last 15 years, trying to answer the kinds of questions that my colleagues have been raising. And what I've come to understand is that there are these incredible pictures that contain all the information of a set of equations that are related to string theory. And it's even more bizarre than that because when you then try to understand these pictures, you find out that buried in them are computer codes just like the type that you find in a browser when you go surf the web.
So you're saying as you dig deeper, you find computer code writ in the fabric of the cosmos?
Into the equations that we want to use to describe the cosmos, yes.
Computer
Several
code.
decades, the exponential growth in computers' storage capacity and processing power has followed a pattern known as Moore's Law, which in 1975 predicted that information density would double every 2 years.
People do not understand that the Old Testament is written in code. And I'm not talking about this bullshit Da Vinci Code crap. I'm talking about actual code as in, high-level physics. Okay? The word sin, S-I-N, comes from the word sine, S-I-N-E. If you look at that, this is a sine wave. Yeah? It's a sine wave. The straight line that you're seeing, that's called linear time. That's going from your birth to your death, okay? The wavy line, that's a sine wave, okay? That's a sine wave. Bear with me. The word sine in physics is abbreviated as sin, okay? Now, there is another wave, it's going to be in blue, that runs along the same line as time, okay? And what that is it goes like this. This one is called a cosine wave, as in cosigner. That's right where that comes from. That's a cosine because it rides the back. It's so tight to the other wave, it's called a cosine wave. Now, you see, you have red and blue, and they both are interacting with time. So, one is time, one is space, okay? Those two together create time and space. Red and blue, which represents the planet Saturn. The time and space. So why is sin evil? Because sin is the abbreviation for sine, which represents time. And incidentally, the serpent in the garden is right here. Okay? That's the serpent. Okay? The serpent is time. Now I'm going to show you something else. Bear with me for a second. This is where your caduceus comes from. That's time and space running along a linear, that's the cosine of the sine wave, running along the vertical line, which is sine or sin. Here we have the wings. That's what your symbol is that you see, the caduceus. The single one is just a snake, which is it looks like an S. That's the serpent. Okay, so why do they say that we're sinful? They say that we're sinful, or that you're born of natural sin, because you're born into sine. You're born into sine. You're born into time. And when you're born into time, when you're born into sine, you're born into sin. Now, why does sin keeps you away from the Creator? Why? Because here, that's ruled by time, the circle, and space, the square. The Creator is timeless. There is no time where He exists. It's a loop. You go around and around and around.